Okay, if you need a few examples on how you do calculations involving prisms, I'm going to give you a couple examples right now, okay? So first thing that we need to recognize when we have a prism is that we have two congruent polygonal bases. So in this crazy guy, we call this a trapezoidal prism. That's our one base. We name them by the base, and that's the other base. Now, if you can identify the bases, and over here, of course, we have the hexagon bases. If you can identify the bases, the height is always the distance between the two bases. So for our hexagonal prism, the height is definitely what you would call the height on the side there, going between from top to bottom. However, the trapezoidal prism is basically sitting on one of its lateral faces. Therefore, the height is going to be this length, or you could pick any one of these. And it's not what you would picture to be the height, because it's not sitting on one of its bases. Okay, that's going to come into play when we actually do our calculations. So I wanted to clarify that to start. Let's go ahead and look at an example. We'll start with a triangular prism down here. I think the rectangular prisms are the easiest, so we're going to skip that for right now. Find the lateral area and surface area of this triangular prism. So we do have some formulas for this. Let's go ahead and write out our formula. Lateral area equals P times H. P stands for the perimeter. I'm talking about perimeter of the base. So I'm taking my base, which is right here. And we're going to take the perimeter of that, which is 8 plus 6 plus... Okay, at this point I get stuck because I don't know what this other length is. So how are we going to find that other length? If you're seeing a right triangle, and if you're thinking Pythagorean Theorem, you're exactly on track. I'm not going to do the Pythagorean Theorem right here. I'm going to let you do that. I'm going to set it up for you. 6 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. C comes out to be 10 in this case. Plug that in, times the height, which I pointed out to you, distance between the two bases, is 12. So that gives me altogether 8 plus 6 plus 10 is 24 times 12, and that's giving me a final answer of 288. We're going to use square feet. We're not doing volume yet, so square units, just like if you're doing area of a two-dimensional figure. We're doing the area of all the two-dimensional surfaces. We're just adding them together. Okay. Part 2. So other formula, we've got total surface area is the lateral area plus, I'm going to switch that around just so it follows the formula that's on your page. I'm going to say it's 2 times the base area plus the lateral area. Lateral area refers to the area of all the rectangular sides, everything except the bases. So now we're adding 2 times the base area since we know we have 2 congruent bases. So, good news is, hey, I already have this answer right here. The lateral area is 288. So I'm going to be adding 288 to twice my base area. When you get to the base area part, you're going to have to insert a formula here. And in this case, the formula is going to be the area of a triangle because my base is this lovely right triangle. So I'm thinking 1/2 times base times height for my area of my triangle. Putting some numbers in, 1/2 times, since it's a right triangle, we can call the 6 the base and the 8 the height. 1/2 times 6 times 8, and then I'm going to have to add the 288 at the end. I do like to go ahead and calculate the area of the triangle and then multiply by 2, and that's because when we get to volume, it's going to be helpful for us to have that area measurement. I'll show you in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and say that's 24, multiplying that times 2, plus 288 altogether. 2 times 24 is 48, plus 288. That's how I'm getting my answer of 336 square feet for the total surface area. Okay, I said that that base area was going to help you. So let's go ahead and finish our triangular prism. And let's go ahead and do the volume. Remember, the base area that we got was 24, because I'm going to use that in just a second. Okay, I need a little bit more room. So I'm going to go to the back side. Join me on the back side and find that same figure on your paper on the back side. Whoop. Okay, here's a second example with prisms. This time we're looking at a pentagonal prism based on the markings on the base. We do know that it's a regular pentagon that's the base. Keep that in mind as we walk through this. First thing we're going to do is find the lateral area. Lateral area equals, I'm just going to work down here, P times H. Remember, P is my perimeter of my base. So in this case, I have 4.5 as my side length times 5, since I have a pentagon, 5 equal sides. And then height of my prism is also 5, distance between the two bases. So doing the calculations, 4.5 times 5 gives me 22.5. Multiply that by 5, and I'm getting a lateral area of 112.5 units squared. Part 1 done. Total surface area. I want 2 times my base area. And then I'm going to add my lateral area to that. Good news, the lateral area is done. So I know that this number over here is going to be 112.5. I've got 2 times something here, and I've got to figure out what this base area is. So at this point, I'm actually going to go a little bit off on the side and figure out what my base area is. I'm going to work up here, and we're going to calculate the area of my regular pentagon. And you're going back to, how do I find the area of a regular polygon? So redraw if you want. I'm not going to redraw the whole thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw that triangle in there. Remember, I've got one of 5 triangles. I need to find the area. And then I'm either going to use my formula, area equals 1/2 times the apothem times the perimeter. Or I prefer to do the area of the triangle times the number of triangles. So that's what I'm going to use. Feel free to do the 1/2 apothem times perimeter. It's just fine as well. So I'm going to do area equals area of the triangle. I'll put area of the polygon is equal to area of the triangle times and the number of triangles. So I'm going to have 1/2 the base times the height. Base of my triangle is 4.5 times the height of my triangle. And then I am going to have times n is going to be 5. So I need to figure out what the height is of my triangle. I'm going to split it in half, and I'm going to redraw that triangle. I'm going to note that I have an angle up here of, right there, of 360 divided by 5, which is 72 degrees. Split that in half, and I'm getting a 36-degree angle right there, because I just split the 72 in half. So I've got a 36-degree angle. I knew that the base was 4.5, and that was this length right here. So I'm going to take that, divide that by 2, and I'm getting 2.25 for my known length in my triangle. And I'm solving for the height, which we also call the apothem in terms of the polygon. So I'm looking at using a trig equation right now. I'm picking tan 36 equal to 2.25 over A. Of course, when I solve that, apothem is 2.25 divided by tan 36, and I'm getting about 3.10. Okay, check your calculation, but that's what I'm going to plug in right here for my height of my triangle. Remember, this guy was the height of your triangle. If I can grab another color here. That was the height of this triangle. So that's going to go right here, 3.10. Okay, multiplying that all out, 1/2 times 4.5 times 3.10 times 5 gives me an answer of 34.875. I'm going to go ahead and keep that rather than rounding it because I'm going to be doing more calculations. That is my area of my pentagon, okay, which is my base area in terms of my prism. So all of that was to get me ready for going back to my surface area, and I now know what number I'm going to plug in right here for my base area. That's my 34.875. Okay, we do have to multiply that by 2 and then add 112.5. You don't have to write down both measurements. I'll go ahead and do it since I did the calculations. 69.75 plus 112.5, giving me 182.25 square inches for my total surface area of my prism. Okay? Good news. We did the hard work. Calculating the base area is usually going to be most of the work. Now I get to use that again because remember, my volume is my big B times H. That's my base area times H. Again, if you want to write an A there for base area times height, that's fine. So I'm going to take that same base area that I just had and plug that in again. 34.875 times the height of my prism, which was 5. And go ahead and multiply that. So 34.875 times 5, I'm getting 174.375 cubic units this time since I've got volume. Okay, again, that is a rounded answer, approximate, since I did round when I was doing my area of my regular pentagon. I had to use trig there. Okay, if you have something like a hexagon for your base, you should be able to give me an exact answer because you would end up with special right triangles for the area of the regular hexagon, and then you could have your answers in radical form. Okay, hopefully that helps a little bit. I'm going to skip the rectangular prism. That's probably your easiest one, as long as you know which one is your base, and technically you can call any one of them your bases with the rectangular prism.